But as I say, I'm going to be nice tonight. I've changed. Not as much as Bruce Jenner, obviously. Now Caitlyn Jenner, of course. What a year she's had. She became a role model for trans people everywhere, showing great bravery in breaking down barriers.
As I said earlier, I'm going to be nice tonight. Well, sort of. Not quite as much as Bruce Jenner. Now Caitlyn Jenner, of course. What a year she's had. She became a role model for transgender people everywhere, showing incredible
Golden Globes. A lot of time you are politically incorrect and hilarious, of course.
Thank you.
Thank
you.
So this is,
well,
yeah.
Yeah, well, that's the thing about offence, isn't it? When people say they're offended, it's that just
barriers and destroying stereotypes. Throughout his career, Ricky Gervais has received a lot of criticism and abuse because of the controversial nature of his comedy. But despite all the backlash, he's never been one to back down.
You can't second guess people. If you try and please everyone, you'll please no one. With comedy as well, I think you've got to deal with taboos and contentious issues. And sometimes you deal in irony, and some people don't get that. But, you know, you can't legislate against stupidity, otherwise you'll be doing nothing. So if you're saying anything, well, you should polarize. You should polarize because everyone's...
Of when Ricky lost his cool while calling out celebrities on live television. When Ricky hosted the Golden Globes, he made it clear that he wasn't interested in playing it safe. He didn't hold back in his jokes about politically correct culture, and he even called out celebrities for taking themselves too seriously. One of his key points is that just because...
I'm joking. I never did. NBC clearly don't care either.
Offended doesn't mean they're right. The whole idea of being offended isn't a reason to censor comedy or ideas. After all, if you try to please everyone, you'll end up pleasing no one. Ricky has been pretty outspoken, especially during his infamous interview on The View, where he ridiculed the host, Joy Behar, for being overly politically correct. He's not afraid to stand his ground when it comes to comedy and believes that you can't second-guess people's reactions. In fact, he said that if you try to please everyone, you're just setting yourself up for failure. When it comes to humor, Ricky thinks it should be free to tackle any topic, even the ones that make people uncomfortable. He's a big believer in pushing boundaries, dealing with taboos, and using irony to make a point. And if some people don't...
Some offensive tweets. Hello? Lucky for me, the Hollywood foreign press can barely...
That's their problem. He doesn't think you should regulate or sanitize comedy just to avoid offending people. As he puts it, if you try to avoid every offense, you'd never get anything done. Much of Ricky's criticism is aimed at Hollywood, where he feels the woke culture is...
Joey, remember, they're just jokes. We're all gonna die soon, and there's no secret.
He's never been shy about calling out the hypocrisy he sees among celebrities who claim to be woke while often being associated with corporate giants and institutions that don't always practice what they preach. As a result, he's developed a reputation...
Win an award tonight. Don't use it as a platform to make a political speech, right? You're in no position to lecture the public about anything. You know nothing about the real world. Most of you spent less time in school than Greta Thunberg. So, if you win, right, come up, accept your little award.
Ricky's disdain for Hollywood woke culture was made clear when he slammed the Oscars for excluding Kevin Hart from hosting, all because of old jokes that some people found offensive. He thinks it's absurd that a comedian could be canceled for something as trivial as a past joke, especially when comedy is meant to be about pushing back...
Clothes and the hair and makeup and let people film it, that takes balls. So, I don't know how he does it. I really don't. I've seen his balls, they're huge and long. I mean the old-fashioned ones, you know, the old-fashioned women. Oh, God, you know, the ones with...
And challenging the status quo. During his many Golden Globe appearances, Ricky has continuously torn apart celebrities who align themselves with these ideals. Whether it's making fun of their political speeches or mocking their hypocrisy, Ricky has made it clear that he doesn't buy into the political correctness that Hollywood often champions. He's become...
For ladies! They are ladies, look at their pronouns! What about this person that isn't a lady? Well, his penis.
And free speech in general is being stifled in the name of virtue signaling. Ricky Gervais has never shied away from speaking his mind, even when it means taking on the political correctness of Hollywood and the film industry. Take Kevin Hart, for instance. He was fired from hosting the Oscars over some old, offensive tweets. Ricky, of course, had no problem mocking this.
The first time I did it, like 10 years ago, the sort of press, particularly the industry press in America, was like, why is he saying these awful things to the most beautiful people? You know, and then by the fifth time, right, they were going, good, give it to him, we're sick of
Bit of humor. Lucky for me, the Hollywood foreign press can barely speak English, he quipped. Ricky's career has been full of moments where he tackles sensitive subjects head-on, whether it's questioning the motivations behind woke ideologies or criticizing the way certain topics are handled in the media. One of the most interesting things about Ricky is his willingness to go against the grain. His criticism of
As a celebrity, I know all about stuff, like science and politics. So trust me when I tell you who you should vote for. If you don't vote the right way, that's like a hate crime. It makes me sad and angry, and I'll leave the country.
subtle nod to the early days of the trans movement, showing that he's willing to talk about things that others might shy away from. But let's not get it twisted. Ricky is always quick to remind his audience that at the end of the day, these are just jokes. We're all going to die soon, so why take everything so seriously? His humor often targets not just woke culture, but also some aspects of the LGBTQ and trans movements that he feels are being
now, do fantasy adventure nonsense. They wear masks and capes and really tight costumes. Their job isn't acting anymore. It's going to the gym twice a day and taking steroids, really. Have we got an award for most
or treated too delicately. And while he's faced plenty of backlash for this, he's remained unwavering in his views. One of Ricky's most famous lines was directed at celebrities who use their acceptance speeches to lecture the public. If you win tonight, don't use it as a platform to make a political speech, he says. You're in no position to lecture anyone about anything. It's a sharp jab at the celebrities who, Ricky argues, are often out of touch with the real world. Most of them spent less time in school.
Made the news for his controversial comments about the Marvel franchise. He said they're not real cinema and they remind him of theme parks. I agree. Although I don't know what he's doing hanging around theme parks. He's not.
So, who are they to tell the public what to think? Ricky's stance on trans issues is clear. He won't shy away from basic biology, even if it's unpopular. He's not afraid to take on political correctness in the entertainment industry and doesn't believe comedians should be afraid to make jokes about any group.
Kill himself, just like Jeffrey Epstein. Shut up! I know he's your friend, but I don't.
Well, he's not afraid to speak the truth, regardless of what others might say. He once joked about how it takes balls for someone to put on women's clothing and go through the whole process of hair and makeup for a role. He certainly doesn't mince words. The trans community remains one of the most controversial topics Ricky has addressed in his comedy. Even though his remarks have sparked
awful, lazy, remakes, sequels. I've heard a rumour that there might be a sequel to Sophie's Choice. I mean, that'd just be Meryl Streep going...
continues to stand firm in his opposition to what he sees as the absurdity of woke culture. In his signature style, Ricky's critique of woke celebrities often comes with a dose of sarcasm. He ridicules those who feel like they have the power to dictate other people's political choices. For example, he jokes about how some people are up in arms about others using their bathrooms, as if that's somehow an issue. It's a classic Gervais punchline, a sharp, yet hilarious way of pointing out the absurdity in certain woke ideologies.